God, I'm just going to futz with my hair.
Hello and welcome to our broadcast. I'm your host, Mary Renoff. As a reminder, the information provided during this event is for educational purposes only. If you have any questions regarding medical conditions or treatment plans, please consult a physician. Participating in this event with this clinician does not create a physician-patient relationship. So let's get started. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Robin Henderson, who serves as the Chief Executive of Behavioral Health for Providence, Oregon, and the Chief Clinical Officer with Work to Be Well, which is our mental health stigma reduction and education program. And today we're talking about body positivity. Hey, Dr. Robin.
Hey, Mary, how are you today?
Hey. I'm good. I'm very body positive today.
Me too.
So,
Just
Robin,
embracing it.
I know, right? I was just saying that. I brushed my hair, but I didn't wash my hair. I don't have any makeup on. And I'm saying we're all body positive, right? I love myself anyway. It's totally fine. So
I have got my Russian River red lipstick because, that's the trademark.
it looks good.
And that's about it today. I mean, there's no other makeup. And it's funny because, I can't wear lipstick now when I go out because you always got a mask on.
Oh, the mask, yeah.
Yeah. Lipstick does not work under a mask. That's a pro tip.
You know what was really funny, Robin, is I was talking to somebody this morning and I said, I know Robin's going to come looking perfect with her red lips. So there you go.
Oh, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. But my hair is wet, but I'm here to celebrate body positivity and let's figure it out.
100%. Well, Dr. Robin, I know you very, very well, and I've had the pleasure of working with you for many years. But for those who don't know you, can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do for Providence?
So I'm the Chief Executive of Behavioral Health for the Providence region here in Oregon. So all things behavioral health report up through me somehow, somewhere. And that's part of what I do. But the other part of what I do is I'm the Chief Clinical Officer for Work to Be Well. And Work to Be Well is our youth mental health anti-stigma and education campaign run by Youth for Youth that really goes at the heart of what we're going to talk about today. Not just body positivity, but whole person, really embracing your whole self and all of the diversity you bring to the table.
Well, I think body positivity is something we as women and men too, right? We think about a lot, but I would say that it really tends to be something that women struggle with more than men, I think. Do you see that as a typical scenario?
Definitely, absolutely. Definitely a typical scenario. And it starts young when you think about it. It starts when we're babies, when we're little, and the messages that we hear from the people around us.
Why do you think that is? And how do we change that, right? Like I actually was telling somebody the other day, I went for a run, this was a few months ago, and I wore a long sleeve shirt and my neighbor's daughter said, "Aren't you hot?" And I said, "Well, kind of." And she said, "Well, then why are you wearing a long sleeve shirt?" And I said, "Oh, because my arms jiggle." And her mom said, "But you're out for a run. Who cares?" And I thought, I'm telling this little girl that she needs to cover up arms when she's older. That's so sad, but it was the first thing that I did and said. So tell me, how do we course correct? How do we fix it? What at my age or your age, where we've done this our whole lives, what do we need to do?
It starts with the messages and the things we tell ourselves, the voices that go on in your head. And those like negative talk, the self-talk, I think about it. I look in the mirror and I go, oh my gosh, I look just a fright. My hair's out of place. I don't have makeup on and my arms jiggle. And you know me, I am not the typical, when you look at me, I am a fluffy girl. And, and that's just me. I've been that way since my first pregnancy. And my first pregnancy was 20 years ago. So
Wow.
These messages start in our own heads, and they're the things that we tell ourselves that we've heard all of our lives, and the things that television tells us, the thing that diet commercials tell us, the thing that exercise show tells us, the things that social media tells us, all those other types of things. But it really starts with that intentionality that when I'm getting in that space where I'm going, all of the negative self-talk in my head about how my bum jiggles and my arms jiggle and everything jiggles. Let's be honest. Everything jiggles.
Megan Trainor says that's a good thing. She says the boys like the jiggle. I don't know.
Exactly. And that's the talk that you go on in your head. It's like, but you know what? The boys like the jiggle. You know what? More importantly, I like the jiggle.
I like the jiggle. That's the Lizzo mentality,
like
right? I don't care what you like. I like myself. Yeah.
And that's where it really starts, is liking ourselves, loving ourselves, and understanding that I am more than what you see when you look at me.
Yeah. I think it starts at a young age too, because I've made a concerted effort that when I talk to like my friends' daughters, I don't say, "Oh, she's so pretty." I might, right? I say, "Oh, she's so pretty and so talented," or "Oh, you're so smart, you're so this." But because I think we're so ingrained in talking about how pretty little girls are, but it's really more about what they are on the inside, right?
Yep. It's about what are they interested in? What do they like to do? What are they talking about? Are they funny? What would happen if we looked at kids and said, wow, you are so smart and so funny? And if that was the first thing that we said, because we value your mind, not your, oh my gosh, you look so cute in those pigtails.
Yep. Or that outfit, right? It's so much about how you look in an outfit too, I think, which
Yep.
I think, Robin, and I know you and I have slightly differing views on this. I'm a social media person, you're a clinical person. I tend to think social has a little bit of a negative impact when it comes to like our bodies and our shapes and stuff, mostly from the InstaFit models. But you actually think social media is sometimes good for our psyche. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So I think social media can be very good for our psyche. When we see social media for good, with people posting about the things about themselves that they love, the things that are beautiful selfies that aren't like those scripted Instagram, polished face with the little like all that other good stuff. The real stuff. We have the potential. We're the ones who create social media, right? Everybody who's on social media creates social media. So what if you go out to social media with that intention of, I'm going to post this selfie because it's an important moment for me. It's not about how I look. It's about how I remember this particular moment in time. Because really, that's what it's about.
Well, and it is real life, right? Like most of my photos are taken when I'm in the barn mucking a stall or I'm with my family and we've had breakfast and I don't dress up to go to breakfast with my mom and dad. You know what I mean? Like it's just real life and it's how we look. And I think all of these photos out there that they have the fancy light and your hair gets done and your makeup's perfect. Like that's not real life. Like people don't live like that 24/7. I think we need to, as a society, start maybe saying that, right? Like let's start saying, I mean, if that makes you happy, right? If making perfection look normal for you is making you happy, I guess that's okay. But is it destructing these little kids? Like, is it setting up these things that are just completely unachievable?
Sometimes it is. And when we look at the messages and the models and the role models that we see on television, I think watching newscasters is very, very interesting, right? And
Yes.
newscasters often, there's a look for newscasters, unless, of course, you're the male weather guy. And then you're allowed to be, right? And then you're allowed to be,
Yes.
that different thing. But I'm watching newscasters shift and change as well. And I've seen a few social media campaigns where newscasters have come out about body positivity when they've been shamed about an outfit that they
Right.
wore or something like
Right.
that, and really read that back to people. I love it when we read the tweets that people send, when celebrities read tweets, the mean tweets, because it's just like,
Those are my
really? Somebody
favorite.
said that?
Yes.
What were
Yes.
you thinking? Why aren't we looking at people and lifting them up and saying, oh my gosh, you look so happy today?
Yep. Agreed. Well, let's talk about some of the things we can say to other people or things that we can say to ourselves that help us get past this and help us focus on body positivity.
Well, I think that's a really good one, is that idea of, you look so happy. You look, oh my gosh, instead of looking pretty or those objectifying types of things, let's go at the feelings. Let's go at the emotions. Let's go at the, wow, that looks like fun. I see you post your dogs, right?
All the time. All the
All the
time.
time. And that just looks like so much fun. And that's where we need to be coming from, is what are okay, you're posting that great soccer video. That looks like fun. You're posting this great video from, your Zoom picture with all of the crazy Brady Bunch Zooms that we all post. Oh my gosh, it's so relatable in this day and age. But be intentional about the adjectives and the words that you're choosing to describe something, both for yourself and when you're commenting on other people's posts.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about COVID though, Robin, because I know that I gained the COVID-19, right? And it's a struggle. Like my clothes don't fit as well. It's a little harder when I run. Like I'm pretty hard on myself about that because I allowed it to happen, but I'm not alone, right? There's a lot of people.
Right.
So how do we like relate, I guess, or weigh the odds of it's okay to gain a few pounds, right? And it's okay if you don't look as good as you thought you did versus the healthy side of that, right? Which is it okay to gain a few pounds? Like, is it unhealthy to do it? Like, how do we relate our weight to health?
The best way to relate your weight to health is to start with your primary care provider. And that's where I start, people look at me objectively, and when you do my BMI and all that other good stuff, I'm going to come out in the category that ain't so hot. I'm going to be labeled obese, right? I'm going to carry
Girl,
that.
I'm still morbidly
label.
obese by the BMI. That's
Yep.
ridiculous. I'm a size 10. Come on.
Right. And I come out in that and I'm like morbidly obese. But here's what I'm going to tell you. My A1C level, perfectly normal.
Exactly.
My cholesterol, probably better than most people. I don't know, most people around me. I probably have the best cholesterol in the room. And when I go see my doctor, the conversations I have with my doctor aren't about you need to lose 25 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it is. The conversations with my doctor are, what are you going to do to increase your activity level? And you already eat like a healthy beast. You know, I'm a scratch cook. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I cook a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
But what are the things that I can choose to be my healthiest me? Right?
Yeah.
So my COVID thing was I have an elliptical trainer now. You know what I started out with?
Do you still use the rower?
No, I got rid of the rower.
Okay.
I burned out on the rower and I traded it for an elliptical trainer.
I love elliptical. Well, I have a love-hate relationship. I love the workout I get, but it's so painful.
No, early in COVID, I saw a friend of mine, actually about mid-COVID, about midsummer. A friend of mine posted that she was looking for a water rower. And so I sent her a note and said, hey, you know, I'm kind of burned out on my water rower. I'm looking for an elliptical. And we swapped.
Oh, that's perfect. Nice. I like it.
But when I started, you know how far I could go?
Mm-mm.
5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes better than nothing, right?
And that's the little steps that you take as you go back at this. It's like not what I am, not the fact that I've gained weight during COVID. It's what am I going to do today to feel better about me?
I like it. And sometimes, right, it's not working out. I find meditation is a really good thing for my mental health and my physical health, especially if I'm feeling very anxious. But I think there's a lot of things we can do for sure. I do want to ask you though, Robin, because a lot of the people in my age range, right, we're in the 40s, right? We're starting to see our bodies change, right? Our hormone levels are changing, things are changing. We're gaining weight. We're putting on weight in places we can't. Talk to me about how we maintain our body positivity and just our self-worth when we feel like we can't control the situation, right? Like I'm not going to be able to lose weight as fast as I could in my 20s and 30s.
Yep. But I can also bet you that you felt this way in your 20s and 30s too. It's just now you've got that 40-year-old brain looking back on your 20-year-old self who's complaining about the fact that you can't lose weight like a 15-year-old. But
True.
It's also about what is the wisdom of that 40-year-old self? What is the life experience of that 40-year-old self? What are the, all of the wrinkles that I've earned, all of the gray hairs? Well, okay, you can't see those, but all of the life experience that I bring to the table.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's different. If we were to look at this instead of our bodies sagging as to this is the price of wisdom in terms of I've got a body that has lived, right?
It's an accomplishment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I
tell people that all the time with my scars, right? I have scars, like I have a breast cancer removal scar, and those are badges of honor, man. They might not be pretty, but they mean something to me.
Exactly. And that life experience right there, having that expressed in your body is amazing.
Are there any books? Because we get this question all the time, right? What can I read? Where can I go? What site can I look at? If I want to focus on body positivity, where do you suggest I start?
Well, there's a whole bodypositivity.com website. And they actually have clubs and they have all kinds of things and resources that you can look at and go to. But really, when I look at body positivity, what I want to look at are affirmations. What are the things about me looking at my whole self, not just focused on my body, but my whole self? I'm a big fan of Brene Brown. I think the stuff she does is just absolutely awesome. And how do we take those types of affirming conversations and take it away from just the focus on our body? What about total positivity?
I like that. I feel like there's a lot of my friends, not a lot, but it's a good number of my friends who are really hung up on their weight, right? And they're not seeing their accomplishments, like that they've raised these amazing children, that they work full time and raise their kids, like all these great things. how do I help them? What is it that I do? And I'm sure I can comment on their social media, but like, do I just sit them down and have that conversation? Like, what's a good way to approach that?
With love and heart. And I know that right now, the one thing we can't do is reach out and hug people outside of our own bubble. But what you can do is sit down with somebody over a Zoom call or a FaceTime or whatever platform it is that you use and have a cup of coffee and say, girl, what is going on with you? Because here's what I'm hearing, and I know that's not you. So tell me how you're doing. How are you really doing? And listen.
Oh, that was the key part, Robin, and listen. Let's talk a little bit about body positivity and the psyche, because I think sometimes we just say, oh, she's so hard on herself, but she might actually be suffering from something. I think you're the one that helped me figure out that I had a little bit of body dysmorphia, right? Like I still see a 300-pound girl when I look in the mirror, right? Like, how do we know if what we're feeling or experiencing is something more than just, I'm having a bad day?
It really becomes when it is that it takes over your life. It begins to be the thing that you're thinking about all the time. It becomes intrusive. Eating disorders are very intrusive. They're very secretive. There's a lot of shame affiliated with that. And eating disorders really, when that is the focus of your world, as opposed to all of the other things going on, when all you're thinking about is eating or not eating or counting those calories all of those time and it takes over, it's time to have a conversation with somebody, because you really got to think about what is it that behavior set is keeping you from dealing with. A lot of times, most eating disorders come from a history of trauma. They're a way that we deal with, our own trauma without having to face it. And having that opportunity to sit down, work with a therapist, talk it through and figure out what is this eating disorder here for? And there is a point at which the eating disorder takes over. And when it takes over, you need real professional help. I mean, we have an eating disorders program at Providence here in Oregon for adults and adolescents. And during the pandemic, we have seen a marked increase in the number of people coming in for treatment. Our wait list is huge. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that it's really hard to hide an eating disorder when you're with your family all the time, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think it's also hard when you don't have as many distractions as you had before, right? Like sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't. Yeah. I will say too, Dr. Robin, if I can put a plug in here for people to go to worktobewell.org/wellness resources, because we have great content there that you personally have had a hand in putting together and vetting and reviewing. But there's great stuff there. There's curriculum people can take. There's quizzes you can take to find out if you actually maybe have disorders. There's resources. Like it's so wonderful, the amount of information that you can get there. How do we get people though to realize that they aren't alone, right? That you don't have to go through this alone. If you're feeling this struggle, like there are resources and you don't have to talk to somebody, although it's great. What do we say to our friends if we want to nudge them to that next level?
I care about you. I want you to be here with me. And right now, the biggest thing I need to do is help you get help for you. So let's call together. Let's make that phone call. Why don't you schedule a visit with, the behavioral health provider in your primary care clinic? All our Providence Medical Group clinics here in Oregon have behavioral health providers right in the clinic. And you could schedule
There's
a
one
visit
right
with them
downstairs right now.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could schedule a meeting with them right now, today. You can call. There's already somebody, somebody's always here to listen. But there's also a lot of online resources, sending people, those links to some of those quizzes and things like that, saying, you know what, I took this quiz and I felt it really helped me. Why don't you try it? That also works a lot. Telling people what you're struggling with and how you've struggled with stuff can really help people open up about their own experiences, because then they're really not alone. They've got you.
Oh, I love that, Robin. That's amazing. We had a question come in for you that says, menopause changes the body and it seems like I'm losing control of it. I'm active and I eat healthy, but what do I do to keep myself from going down a shame spiral? A shame spiral. I like that terminology.
That is a wonderful way to say that. Menopause really, really can not only impact your body, but it impacts your emotions as well. And I know, I think on another episode, you and I have talked about the fact that when I started going through menopause, I started having anxiety attacks for the first time in my life. Right. And they were, they would come on at the worst time. had an anxiety attack on a plane on my way to Vegas to speak at a conference. And I thought I was dying, right? Honest to God, thought I was dying. And I remember I sat down with my doctor and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I think I'm having heart problems. And she put a heart monitor on me for the weekend and it came back and she's like, no. But now I get a treatment for anxiety. I'm like, oh, no.
Wow. For some reason, Dr. Robin, the fact that you've experienced that makes me feel better. I'm assuming other people feel that way. Like, wait, so people who are trained clinical care providers also can have anxiety or also can deal with that. That's really interesting.
Yep. So I got to work and built myself a mind palace where it's actually on a beach somewhere in Mexico, that when I start feeling that familiar feeling of anxiety, I have a whole meditation ritual and a mindfulness ritual that I go through with deep breathing, and I imagine my beach and the waves that come up on the shore and the hot sun and all of the wonderful things that come with my beach. And
now I need a vacation.
I know, right? Vacation.
You taught me box breathing. And I don't know if you know this or not, but it has been a complete game changer for me because I feel myself getting really anxious throughout the day. And it's not like out of control anxiety, but just like I need to take a deep breath. And I do box breathing probably 2 or 3 times a day. And it is amazing. Can you just, for everybody listening, because I'm such a big fan of it, can you just talk through what that is?
So box breathing is really an amazing technique that you can use to disrupt whatever's going on for you. You got to sit down and center yourself, put your feet on the floor, and close your eyes. We're going to take a deep breath in, and count 4, and we're going to hold it for 4, and then we're going to let it out. Okay? Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and release. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do one more. Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and release. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I do feel better actually right now. That's amazing. I love box breathing, and I make people do it with me sometimes in meetings, and I think they look at me a little like I'm crazy, and then we finish and they're like, oh yeah, that's good. I like that.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Just kind of clears all the cobwebs out.
Tips? Anything else you would suggest to people if they just need a quick pick me up maybe?
Another great quick pick me up is water. Water is one of my go-tos. People like to say coffee's water. Coffee's not actually water. Has water in it, but drinking water, going for a quick walk, even if your walk is just around your house, but changing your scenery, changing your breathing, all those types of things can be really helpful. One of my biggest tips for getting through those really long meetings that seem to never end, the sit and gets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the blessings of COVID is that there's no longer sit and gets where you have to sit and get. You can get up, and I have a friend who has a treadmill now in her room, and you can see her. She's on her treadmill during the meeting doing her thing. Sometimes I've been known to get up on my elliptical, and I'll just sit and watch the meeting and do my elliptical or whatever it is. And those types of things are the gifts we need to take, especially now.
I agree. I think we've touched on it a little bit, but we had a question that basically says, how do I pull myself out of a rut if I've reached a point in my life where maybe I've gained weight from a surgery or after a baby? Like, it's not my normal weight, but it's a new weight. How do I learn to accept that?
Well, interestingly enough, I don't know that it's ever the idea of acceptance as opposed to the idea of this is my new normal, and this is my body changed significantly after my first baby, even more so after my second baby, both of whom happened to be C-sections. And when you have a C-section, that impacts your ability to recover in a very different way. And you have to think about what are the things that I'm going to do to adjust not only to a new body, but I'm adjusting to the fact that now I've got children, and that disrupts my entire schedule and things all like that. Schedule and routine is really important. And one of the things that happens for us, I had this conversation over the weekend with some of my son's friends who've gained weight because they're not able to go to class and they're depressed and they're not able to do their gym routines. And One young man, 20 years old, gained 25 pounds, and he's just beside himself. And yet when you say, how's your sleeping? Well, it's really awful. I go to bed at 3 a.m. and I get up at 5 p.m. I'm like, well, so we're going to start with getting your sleep schedule back regulated. We're going to start with going back an hour and, going to bed earlier, getting up, earlier, those types of things. But you also need to build in, what are you going to do to move your body? What are you going to do to eat healthier? What are the better choices that you're going to make? Okay. So if I'm eating fast food 3 times a day because I don't want to learn to cook, what are you going to swap out for breakfast so that you're not doing fast food? Nowadays, there's so many healthy meal choices that you can have delivered to your home that are cheaper than doing fast food all the time. There's so many YouTube videos and free recipes that just about anybody can learn how to use these things. And what are the choices that you're going to make, not to lose the weight, but to feel better about you? Just swap one thing.
I like that, Robin. I like the kind of starting small too. It's like when we are trying to lose weight and we say, let's do it in 5-pound increments, right? Because if I think, oh my gosh, I need to lose 100 pounds, it's very overwhelming, right? But if it's that I just need to change 1 meal a day, or I need to go for 1 walk a day, like those seem attainable.
That's the hard part. It's all about self-care. And I was talking with somebody about self-care the other day. Don't go and try and boil the ocean and change everything all at once. Just make one little itty bitty thing and stick to it for the next 2 weeks and see how you feel.
That's a good point, Robin. How long do we need to do something before it becomes like a habit, before it doesn't feel like it's new or awkward or harder?
General rule of thumb is around 21 days. Give or take, for everybody's a little bit different, but general rule of thumb is around 21 days to really get yourself into a habit where it becomes something that's ingrained in you. Remember when I was telling you about, I do my 5 minutes on the elliptical? Well, that's how I started back in August of last year. And now my body expects me to do 30 minutes a day. And I've kind of changed it up because I was doing my 30 minutes all at once, but I found that it actually worked better and provided me a lot more energy if I did like 10-minute sprints.
Yeah.
10 minutes. Yep. Because that was like, even mentally, 10 minutes is a whole lot different than, oh my God, I'm going to spend 30 minutes on this elliptical. I'm going to die. No, I'm going to spend 10 minutes and then I'm going to go walk around and, do something else. And then I'm going to do another 10. And then the next thing you know, I've done my 30 minutes and I didn't even notice.
Yep. Because 5 minutes on a track, like on a treadmill or an elliptical, is like 50 minutes out in nature. I'm convinced I can run like 5, 6, 7 miles out in the country on a treadmill after like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's so boring. I don't know.
It's so boring.
I have to laugh, Robin, because I shouldn't be looking at my phone while I'm talking to you, but my cousin just texted me and she said, ask Doc Rob this question. She said, my mom is the one who harps on me most about my weight and the way I look. What can I say to her to let her know that that's harming me? And now I just outed my cousin and my aunt at the same time.
Well, first of all, you can shame them publicly on my show.
Right? That's the first step. You're welcome. Done. Check.
But, I think part of this comes from some generational expectations. Think back to the programming of like the Jack LaLannes and what was all the body messaging that our parents and other folks had, where help me understand why it is that other people's thoughts about you have more value than your thoughts about you. Right? Because what she's doing when she's saying things to you like that are harmful, really, the question is, what's going on for her that she feels she needs to say it?
Yeah.
You've really got to think about who's in control of your life. And for me, I think about the fact that I'm the one who's in control. I'm the one who has the most important messages. It's different than like, sure, people need to give me feedback, right? I can be overwhelming at times. And people need to give me feedback, so I dial it in a little bit. But I think that's very different than feedback about my body and me as a person.
Something you can't change for the most part, or you certainly can't change overnight, right? Yeah.
So start with the little things like, ouch, that hurts. That kind of a disruptive reminder that, ouch, why do you need to say that? What's going on for you that you felt you needed to hurt me?
Yeah.
Because that's about you.
Especially when it comes from the people that we love most or that we trust most, right? I think that hurts more than anything. Yeah. Gosh, Robin, I don't know how 30 minutes already went by, but we're pretty much out of time. So I have to say before we leave everybody, what's either the one thing you want people to know about body positivity, or what's one tip that you would give people?
Love yourself first. That's the best example we can set for our children and the people around us and the people that we all care about. Love yourself first. Take care of you and embrace all of you, because you know what? You're more than the person that people see on the outside. You are wonderful on the inside.
Oh, I love it. And I say we all do the power thing, right? Like, even if we're jiggly, like, we got this. Powerful women, right? And support each other and love each other and have conversations like this. So Dr. Robin, thank you so much for joining us, and for everybody who was listening. I really appreciate it. I know everybody who's listening appreciates you being here. For those people who are listening and sending in your questions, we do thank you. If you are looking for help with your mental health or other medical advice, please visit providence.org. You can also follow Dr. Robin on Instagram at @DocRobHenderson. And make sure to follow Providence on social media at Providence on Twitter, and under Providence Health System on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, guys.
Be well.